just really thrilled to have this opportunity to work on one of the best franchises in TV history.
And that was the incredible Beth Mowins, the second female ever to do play-by-play for a regular season NFL game, and the first actually in the national broadcast. And of course, her name and her picture is somewhere along these walls as she walked the halls before us here at Syracuse University. Welcome back to the second edition of This Week on the Gridiron. I'm your host, Brooke, joined by me, Jude, Matt St. Jean, and back with us for the second week is Scout.com Syracuse football beat reporter and former Orange defensive back, Julian Whigham. So, welcome back. Second week, guys. We're ready. Let's just get started.
It's great to be back. It's great to be back. They had us back. This is amazing.
You got me here in a suit.
Yeah.
Yes.
No
we made Julian.
No headphones.
Yes. Came professionally. All right, so Beth Mowins, Syracuse alum. Did you guys watch that game?
Yes.
How incredible was she?
She dragged. dragged old boy.
Rex Ryan. Oh my goodness, yes.
To the finish, he was terrible.
It sucks because she did so well, and she kind of they're picking apart Rex Ryan and kind of took away from Beth Mowins just a little bit, not too much. But, that was kind of the story, too, which it shouldn't have been.
Well, I think that it was Rex Ryan's, not like I want to stick up for that man, but it was his first time on camera. Yeah. And, when you follow McDonough and Gruden that already have that established rapport, that's going to put a lot of pressure on a first-timer. But I thought Beth Mowins was amazing. Yeah, she was so professional, so well done. And I want to see more of her in the booth. I know we're probably not on Monday Night Football this year, but on CBS, those games are going to be fun to watch with her commentating.
For me, it was like when I'm watching a football game, I'm not really paying attention to the commentators. More just focused on the game and the commentators they add. But I'm not sitting there like, wow, that was really great commentating by them. And she kind of fit right into it. Anything I noticed Rex Ryan more than anything because it was like, come on, Rex, you
paid a little bit more
your color commentary literally adds color to the game. Whatever energy he brings, you usually feel.
Just to kind of throw
there was no energy.
And exactly, that's what I'm saying.
It
dragged. She was carrying
there were a few portions where he added stuff like, oh, I didn't even notice that, or oh, I wouldn't have known that.
But know that he wants to be on that sideline.
Yeah, he does.
And I feel like you could feel that in his broadcast that he's like, I'm kind of pissed that I'm in this room right now. And it kind of reflected in his performance. But I called it out to my friends, when it first started. I was like, Beth Mowins is going to get overshadowed by his crappy performance.
I wouldn't say she was overshadowed.
I don't think so either.
I'd say,
But were people talking about how great she was or how bad he was?
We just noticed how not well of a job he did as opposed to how good of a job she did.
Right, because no one notices play-by-play people. Exactly. Honestly, they do their job, people appreciate it, and then people go about their day. You don't go, oh my goodness, who's the play-by-play person? He's doing an excellent job. No one's ever said that before.
You know what's crazy, though? They actually did say it. A lot of people did say that about Tony Romo, where, oh my God.
I heard he did spectacular.
Romo did an excellent job.
Because it was his first time in color comment, just like with Rex Ryan. Right. So I'm thinking, but the crazy part with Rex Ryan is he's got a lot of personality. I've had meeting rooms with him, and we'll be sitting there before we start our first meeting, and Fool's just going off on all these kinds of jokes, having a good old time. And I'm like,
because he's a coach, he's not filtered.
Exactly.
And he can just go as he pleases. Right now, he has to.
He's in a little bit
cognizant of.
He's a little bit of a box.
Listening. I can't say this. I can't say that.
All right, guys, let's move on from that. We got less of a time this week. Speaking of who's doing their job, who's not doing their job. The quarterback situation in Houston, Deshaun Watson, Tom Savage. What's happening, you guys?
I mean, who didn't expect that was going to happen?
I did. I did.
Really? I mean, I didn't think first game we'd see Deshaun Watson, but I felt like as soon as it was like we're struggling, we're not as good as I'd like to be. Because what's the head coach again? Bill O'Brien. He's notorious for that. I don't like how you're playing. I'm taking you out the game. He doesn't care what the game is. He's done it in a playoff game. You're not playing well. You're out. Next guy.
But what does that do to your quarterback's confidence? No matter who it is, I feel like it's been the past 4 years, ever since he's been the Texans coach, that he's like, I'm sticking behind this guy. Deshaun's going to be waiting in the wings. And then, first sign of adversity, he's not building him up at the half. He's yanking him.
The one exception I'll say there is to that Bill O'Brien being like that is if it's a guy that, while he was head coach, they specifically brought in to start, like with Brock Osweiler.
Right.
Before they yanked the cord on him, they gave him ample opportunity to prove it. But if it's like a guy that was waiting there, like you're the second guy or you're the third string guy,
Yeah,
that's when he has that short leash.
Don't put your faith behind
Tom
a person.
Savage was never supposed to be that guy.
Bill
That's
O'Brien creates his own problems.
Agree.
Can I say that? Because he brings in quarterbacks that he just imagines, oh, he'll be a good fit because he fits this mold that Bill O'Brien has.
I would say he only brought in 2 quarterbacks, though.
That's too many.
That's too many.
And they're both.
Deshaun Watson isn't bad. He's not bad yet, though. I don't know where he's going to be.
Can I tell y'all? Please, can I tell you?
He inherited most of those. He inherited most of those quarterbacks.
To start under O'Brien.
Let me
In 2014, that is the most by any NFL team during that span. That's more than the Browns. That's absurd.
Nothing related to that is relevant with Deshaun Watson because he didn't draft him. His GM did. Deshaun Watson is not a Bill O'Brien quarterback. Bill O'Brien quarterbacks are 6'5", 225, and white. They're pocket passers. They sit back, drop back in a 3-step, 5-step, and throw the ball deep downfield.
And they're slow and they can't move.
They're slow and they can't move. And you know what they look like because he's brought in 2. How many was it? 2 of them. Exactly. So now he's got a guy that can actually play the game, and he has to play him because he's seeing his guys aren't working. That's why I say that he's creating his own problems because he brings in guys that don't work, and now he's trying to solve them. And that's going to be a problem for the Houston Texans going forward because they're always flipping quarterbacks.
He's trying to find the next Tom Brady because that's what he did well with in New England, and it just hasn't worked out for him so far.
All right. Speaking of the next Tom Brady, it is time for the next segment. Hold up, wait a minute. Let's let the music play.
Hold up, wait a minute, hold up, wait a minute, hold up, wait a minute, hold up, wait a minute.
All right, that's right. It's time for our next segment. Hold up, wait a minute. It's a segment where we talk about what blew us away this weekend and what made us say, hold up, wait a minute. So for me, I'm going to have to go with quarterback situations here. Blew me away is what Tom Brady did not produce at all, but you know who did? Alex Smith.
Alex Smith, yeah.
He had 368 yards in Foxborough. Like, he deserves to get some praise for that. Also, Sam Bradford, NFC Offensive Player of the Week. He also had a great game, 29 for 32, 84%. Yeah. 346 yards, 3 touchdowns. So those are my guys that blew me away. What do you have?
I like the performance by the rookie running backs. Rookie running backs did a phenomenal job this week. A bunch of them, but just a few of the guys that I particularly had in mind. Kareem Hunt, of course, had the monster game against New England.
You guys just love bringing up the Chiefs.
Not the Chiefs. I'm just saying he had a great game, 148 yards on the ground, 1 touchdown, 5 catches, 98 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns. Leonard Fournette, 26 rushes for 100 yards and a touchdown. Also caught 3 balls. Tariq Cohen, somebody a lot of people didn't even really know about, 5 rushes, 66 yards, 8 catches, 47 yards, and a touchdown. And then Dalvin Cook, he didn't score, but he was involved a bunch. He was the main guy in that backfield. A lot of questions in the preseason about who's going to be the man between him and Lamar Murray. Latavius Murray coming from Oakland. But he got 22 carries, 127 yards. There were some other guys who played too that were rookie running backs, but it just goes to show, like what the mindset of the NFL is right now, where it's like they're not drafting you to hold you and, maybe a couple years down the line you'll be that guy. They want you to play right now.
Yep.
The other thing it does is like it kind of adds value to that running back position, whereas in recent years everybody's kind of like, oh, running backs are a dime a dozen. We can get one whenever we want to. We don't really need to worry about it. But these guys drafted high.
Is there any note on Latavius Murray's contract situation?
I don't remember how many years, but it was like $5 million per year.
$5 million a year?
Yeah.
Because I do know that he got blackballed in Oakland. They actually gave him less carries so that he would have a lower value.
So they could try to sign him for cheaper.
Yeah, and sign him for cheaper. So I was wondering if there was a situation, because I was wondering why Dalvin Cook's got so many carries.
I don't think it's the same because they just signed him this offseason.
Right.
Brought him in. Like when they drafted him, I know I can speak for at least me. I was like, but you just signed Latavius Murray.
Right.
You already have Jerick McKinnon, but I guess the talent spoke for itself.
All right, Matt, who made you say, hold up, wait a minute?
The offensive line play across the NFL last weekend was abysmal.
Yeah.
And I think you got to give a lot of credit to the defenses around the league, but Jacksonville Jaguars against the Texans, 10 sacks.
Yeah.
10 sacks? Come on now. Eli Manning was getting hit around. Kirk Cousins was getting hit around. So I think the offensive lines, that's a unit where you want to be stepping into the season and have them be lock and key. Because without them, it doesn't matter if you have the Brandon Marshalls and Odell Beckhams and DeAndre Hopkins of the world. Like, you're not going to have enough time to get them the ball. So I was shocked at the amount of sacks that were given up, the amount of pressures that were given up this week. And I think that, those teams need to get it together or it's going to be trouble for them from the get-go.
Julian, anything that stood out to you?
It wasn't any one team, any one unit. It was one play. Matt Ryan to his tight end for about 87 yards. Dude catches the ball around midfield, runs down the field. Little baby-faced cornerback runs up thinking he about to make a play, and he stiff-armed him through the dirt. That boy was 5 yards into the ground after that stiff arm, and it was hilarious. It was just like, oh my gosh, what just happened? Is he dead? And I was just like, get out of here. I was hoping that, I'm telling you, that was an incredible play. I mean, if I got stiff arm like that, I would resign. Just they're not going to release him, but it's just like you can't play football after that.
I mean, I'm sure they got on him in the locker room.
Oh my goodness, like a baby.
And then you have to watch it all week.
All week, yeah.
All week.
You got to see it. And then the film room, the coaches, when they see something like that, they just kind of rewind it back and they just keep playing it. It's just hilarious because it's like, dog, he's like 30 years old with children.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
They have to watch it.
That's someone's father.
How you watch your dad get stiff arm like that? Oh man.
Goodness. All right. Speaking of things that made us say, hold up, wait a minute. Julian, we bring you in for this segment. Speaking of Syracuse, what happened there last week against Middle Tennessee?
They got on the field and got whooped.
Yeah, why?
I mean, I don't think they were ready, really. Coach Shafe came back, and you could see he was playing through his players. Just the chippiness after, like they had defensive ends just throwing left tackles like rag dolls after the play was over, and then looking at him like, "What you gonna do about it?" And then Syracuse would just look at him, kind of walk away. Like, it was just kind of like there was no fight. There was no fight back, and then Eric Dungy, he was getting blitz. There was blitzes in his face, pressure in his face all game. He would get his first read. If it wasn't there, he's taking off running. They couldn't make the adjustments that I thought they would in the second half. And Middle Tennessee State, they did. They made those adjustments and started completing more passes throughout the game, and then eventually came away with the win. Definitely disappointing to see, but I was actually happy for Coach Schaefer though, because I think Syracuse did him dirty as far as like his tenure there. Didn't really have much of an opportunity. First time head coach, I think he was put in a bad situation off the start. So happy for him. He got that cigar.
I was about to say, did you guys see the cigar picture?
That was in his pocket for 2 years,
awesome.
and it was really good to see.
You played under Coach Chef, right?
Yeah.
Schaefer.
Yep. Yeah, he was my guy. He recruited me out of high school. We sat in IHOP, ate breakfast, had a good time. Like, we've always been nice.
When he recruited you, or like this week?
No, when he recruited
I was like,
me.
I'm going to go see Julian.
No, we haven't talked recently. Last time I talked to him, I was like maybe a few months ago.
Okay.
But, we keep in contact every so often, check in, see how each other's doing.
So have you checked in with the team this week? How's the mindset heading into Saturday?
Well, the biggest thing is just putting that game behind them. They got another quarterback coming in, Shane Morris, former 5-star quarterback, currently playing for Central Michigan, transfer from Michigan, fifth-year senior, strong left arm. He's got a cannon, and from what I've seen, the kid can play. Threw for over 400 yards last week, multiple touchdowns. He's got more athletic wide receiver threats than Middle Tennessee State did. So Syracuse's secondary is going to have to figure it out because they gave up a couple balls last week. They're going to need to get it together this week because there's better athletes on the outside here at Central Michigan. And you would think Syracuse would be taking care of these directional schools at home, but clearly they're a problem. So biggest thing for Syracuse is really on the offensive side, figuring out that offensive line because there was terrible offensive line playing Syracuse last week too. They got to get better, and the rushing game's got to pick up. Dante Strickland, Mo Neal, like the guys, they can play, but it hasn't been there. So hopefully they can pick it up and find a way to get the ball going because without them, Dungy's going to struggle again.
Let's talk a little about pro prospects. You said Central Michigan's quarterback. Anybody on Syracuse's team that we're looking at?
We talked about a few guys last week.
Yeah.
Like, what about coming up for the Orange?
Young guys?
teams.
Later on in the schedule.
Later on in the schedule.
I mean, there's obviously
LSU's going to have a ton of guys.
LSU's going to have some guys. I mean, the obvious standout is Lamar Jackson at Louisville. He'll be a 6th-round cornerback. LSU has
hot take alert.
Yeah, that's not hot take. It's just facts. But I think LSU's going to have some guys. They just had 2 receivers last year. Yeah, last year that ended up going to the NFL. They're trying to replace some guys on the outside. Big offensive lineman. I'm trying to think who else might we see later on in the year. Miami has a young guy from Wellington High School, big-time receiver, broke freshman record last year. He won't be going to the NFL next season, but he's definitely an NFL talent. I wish I had a name for you. I just know he's from Wellington High School because we played against him all the time. But yeah, no, I mean, they're going to have to figure – the ACC is going to be filled with NFL talent throughout. And Syracuse is going to have to find a way to neutralize those athletes and be able to play solid football because right now I only think they have maybe 1 or 2 guys that have potential to go to that next level and have to play well.
Coach Babers, after the loss last week, said he didn't have his players emotionally ready.
Yeah.
And that's for Middle Tennessee. And Middle Tennessee doesn't have too much in the way of pro talent. Like, how is that an excuse in, moving forward? How is he going to get them emotionally ready for games?
What does that mean? I hate when you know what? Give me that. I hate when coaches say wild stuff. Like, I didn't have my players emotionally ready. What does that mean? How do you get a person emotionally ready for a football game? If you're a college football player at this point and you can't get yourself motivated for a football game, you don't need to be playing Division I football. You've been practicing for weeks on end. You've already played a game. And now you need another man to get you ready to play against another man? What is that? You're not a football player if you need someone to get you emotionally ready. Coach Babers, right. I don't want to hear that.
All right.
Yes.
Just what we were looking for.
Yes.
All right. Let's just end it there. We're going to have to end. Let's head back. Thank you, Julian, Scout.com beat reporter for the Syracuse Orange and former D-back for Syracuse as well. So let's recap our records from week 1 of the NFL. I'm sorry. I believe you guys were 1-4 if I'm not mistaken. I was 2-3. 2-3. Whatever. So we had the Patriots. You had both had the Patriots.
Yeah, all had the
Patriots.
Yeah.
L's.
You and I both had the Cowboys.
No, I had the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You and I had the Cowboys.
The Cowboys was my only...
Oh, of course you had the Giants.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Rub it in.
Of course.
No Odell?
It's all right.
It's a different team without Odell.
All 3 of our teams lost this week. Because I had the Browns. Matt also had the Browns. You went smart with the Steelers.
It was close, dude. It was close. Don't give me the
Browns?
I did pick the Browns.
You know what? Look, what's his name? Deshaun
Kaiser.
He came to play.
He did. He played all right. I'll give him that.
you.
But the Browns are just a horrible football.
Just like I said,
We got screwed.
they're 6, maybe 7-win team.
All right. Anyway, Seahawks. You guys both had the Seahawks. I had the Packers. I'm going Aaron Rodgers. So
These were like down the line picks that I had.
And then we all had the
Not
Texans.
first week picks.
Yeah.
All had the Texans.
Jacksonville, very surprised. And they had great defense.
Who?
Jacksonville. They had great defense.
Oh, I got them winning this
All that
week.
money they've been spending is finally starting to pay off.
I want to see it again. I want to see if it's more them being a great defense or Houston being a terrible offense.
It's true.
I want to see it again.
All right.
The one year where I'm like, I'm not gonna jump on the hype train. They come out and do this.
I feel like that's how it always
man.
is, though. It's always somebody, one team. All right, moving on to this week. Our top 5 games this week. Green Bay at Atlanta. Are we doing the spread on these ones or the?
Yeah. We'll
All right, I don't have those written down. So what do we have?
All right, so Green Bay at Atlanta. Atlanta's favored by 2.5 at home. Who do you got, Jude?
I went with the Packers.
Oh, again.
You know, I kind of second guessed it because they're opening the brand new stadium, huge facility, beautiful. But I just like what I saw out of the Packers more than what I saw out of Atlanta. Should have been not even a game between them and the Bears, but defensively they were able to contain Matt Ryan, and that also just made me think a new playbook, new offense. Is it taking a little time for it to gel? But with the Packers, it was like more of the same. Aaron Rodgers was Aaron Rodgers. They went up against what I think is going to be the best defense in the NFL.
Well, I think it's embarrassing for the Falcons that they have analysts praising the Bears' defense.
Yeah.
And they couldn't run the ball last week.
Yeah.
So, you have talents like Devonta Freeman, and the
Tevin
backup
Coleman.
and Tevin Coleman. You know, you need to run the ball or at least get them involved in the pass game somehow, and they didn't. Aside from my boy Austin Hooper and his super stiff arm, like Falcons didn't really show a whole bunch.
Where was Julio?
But having said that, I'm going to take them at home against the Packers.
We could never see eye to eye there, huh?
I was actually thinking about the Packers if you picked the Falcons. But
Wow.
Oh my
I'm kidding. I'm solid on the
Julian, who do you have?
solid on the
I'm gonna go with
Falcons.
the Packers this week. You know, I didn't see much from Devontae Freeman, which was disappointing. Again, like you said, Julio Jones went missing. You know, Matt Ryan actually did try to spread the ball around a little bit, but the lack of a running game makes me feel like Green Bay might have an advantage here, especially with Aaron Rodgers looking as hot as he did.
Yeah.
I'm also 3 against 1. I'm going Packers too. NFC Championship rematch. They want a little bit of redemption.
I'm good with being the lone wolf on that one.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Tennessee at Jacksonville. Who's getting what on this one?
So,
Tennessee's giving or getting?
Tennessee is favored by a point and a half, and this is the story of two teams. One maybe underhyped and one overhyped. Like Tennessee came in, everyone was on them talking about how like this is the year they make the next step, and then Oakland comes in and says, "Oh, wait a minute, like you're not there yet." And you know they take them to the cleaners at home. But I just saw that Jalen Ramsey for the Jags is out this week.
Is he?
Is out. And Tennessee has some good receivers out there, so they're going to be relying heavily on that defensive line. If they can get the run game going again, I mean, they rushed for more than they passed. When has that happened since the 1960s in the NFL? So if Fournette can keep going, and Bortles can, you know, kind of not make mistakes, I think Jacksonville wins this game.
Can I get a question on Fournette? What do you guys think about that guy?
I don't know.
Too small of a sample size.
Too small of a sample size?
I thought he was going to come out so strong, and I think
I mean,
he's one of those guys.
You know, he
I
did
think
touch 100 yards, and he's been getting some hype.
I'd say he did okay considering he
We
went
should
up
get
against
somebody. He's the number
he
4
went up
pick.
against the Texans, and the Texans are not a slouch kind of defense.
What was it, 26 carries?
26 carries,
for 100 yards?
I just
What's
don't know if you can
And
take
he-
that workload for the whole season and stay healthy because he couldn't at LSU.
Yeah, but
Well, he got ran into the dirt for 3 years,
exactly like
Yeah.
and they weren't giving.
But now
They
he's
weren't
in the
giving him.
NFL, and it's
and they're paying
They
you
weren't
good money, so
they
you
weren't
run
giving
the
him.
ball very well.
They weren't
you're-
giving him 26 carries at LSU. They were giving him 30, 35.
Yeah,
I
that's-
think it was one game where he might have touched like 40 carries.
Right.
So it's like he's not going to get that kind of workload in the
Right.
NFL.
So you can't expect all that yardage again.
all right. So
You
who else
expect,
we got?
like,
Who
what-
else we got? No, I mean like who do you got in this game?
I'm taking the Jags. I liked what I saw out of them defensively. If they can do the same thing on offense, where it's like we're going to run the ball a ton, we're going to let Leonard Fournette smash you in the mouth, and we're going to just do play action off of that, limit the throws, therefore limit the mistakes Blake Bortles makes, then I like their chances in this game against the Titans. I was one of those people that was on the Titans hype train, but I just like what I saw out of the Jaguars a little bit more.
True.
We're just going to discount Mariota?
No,
My
not
man's
at
was
all.
balling
I
last
told you,
time.
I'm still on the hype train, but
Mariota was
time-
balling, and then we're going to pretend like Blake Bortles didn't throw for barely 100 yards this week, too.
121.
And then his number one receiver
that's what they.
is hurt, and Allen Robinson.
Hey, they got.
So
wide
where's their
receiver you
offense
over
going to
there.
come from? Leonard
They
Fournette?
got wide receiver you over there.
Child, please.
Allen Hurts,
I-
Marquise Lee, D.D. Westbrook, a couple other guys that names don't come to mind, but they got plenty of guys to step
No,
up.
that's pretty
I
much
guarantee none of them averaged
Pretty
more
much
than
it.
80
All right.
yards a game.
Allen
Who?
So who
Hurts,
do you got?
definitely
Who do you got?
Hearns?
You
I got
taking Titans?
Yeah, I got Titans.
All right, I have
Ain't the
Jags.
Jags your team?
No.
Who'd you pick?
I like Marone, but
You definitely picked the Jags.
He picked the Jags last week.
All right, we can agree to disagree. Philadelphia at Kansas City. Kansas City, a 4.5-point favorite. Jude, go ahead. Who you got this week?
I picked the Chiefs.
Yep.
They came out against the consensus favorite to win the Super Bowl this year, punched them in the mouth. Offensively, they look good.
Whatever.
Defensively, I am worried. Eric Berry is out for the season with a torn Achilles. I want to see how that affects them, but one piece shouldn't deplete your entire defense. So I'm still going to go with the Chiefs on this one.
Arrowhead is gonna be rocking this week after the win against the Patriots. The Chiefs faithful already very loud. That place is gonna be a very tough environment to play for Carson Wentz. I think Wentz takes the next step this year and becomes a good quarterback, like a better than average quarterback, I guess. But I think that environment and those and the pass rush from Kansas City, I think they're going to get to him, and they're not going to be able to run the ball effectively against that defense. However, I will put a caveat: without Eric Berry, who's going to stop Zach Ertz in the middle? Because he shut down Gronk last week.
Great job.
Shut down Gronk last week. But I think Chiefs at home can't go against him.
I'm going to go with the Eagles on this one. I like what I saw from Carson Wentz last week. Over 300 yards passing. I like the Eagles secondary. I think they played really well. They contained the Redskins, Kirk Cousins, and Terrell Pryor. They locked him up very well. I like the defensive line and what they can do. I think they'll get pressure on Alex Smith. And we haven't seen what Alex Smith can do with pressure yet. And I think he'll, after this Patriots game, I think he'll come in maybe a little bit overconfident, this entire team. So we'll see what happens. But I think if you get some pressure on Alex Smith, he'll make some erratic throws in that secondary to take advantage. So
yeah, that
going with the
Eagles defensive line wreaked some havoc last
absolutely.
week. But Darby's hurt. Darby got hurt last week.
He did.
He's hurt, so that could be tough for the secondary.
All right, Dallas at Denver. Dallas, a 2.5-point favorite. I have the Chiefs for the last game, but Jude, go ahead. Who do you have for this one?
I take Denver for this game. The defense, Wade Phillips not there anymore. That was a major question mark. What's going to happen? They had a couple question marks. Defensively, how are they going to look without Wade Phillips? Offensively, can Trevor Siemian take that next step and really lead this team offensively, be that guy that kind of wins the game for them? I think we got a little bit of an answer in that first game. They did pretty well against the Chargers. He threw the ball around a ton. He looked comfortable back there. Running game was good between Jamal Charles and C.J. Anderson. So I like the 1-2 punch they got going there. And again, defensively, Von Miller's a beast. He's going to be all around the field. They're looking for ways to kind of get him, to the quarterback some more. I think they're going to find a way to make it happen against the Cowboys.
Matt?
I really think it's whoever sets the tone on the run game is going to make the difference. And I think that's going to be Denver, and they're going to win. And the Cowboys corners, they're not what they have in Denver. Right. So if Denver stops the run, if Zeke is stopped to a degree, and Dak has to be forced into throwing on third and long, then they're going to be in trouble.
Harrison to leave, yeah.
So I think Denver takes it.
Who has stopped Ezekiel Elliott yet? One team. Did it happen last week? No. Did it happen last season?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, it did not.
You have to put in mind he has the best offensive line in the league.
Thank you.
The Giants
Thank you for that,
but
too.
I still have the Broncos because I think they have the best defense in the league. The Broncos have won the last 5.
Dak
so
Prescott was on fire. He was hot last week. I think he had
a good game.
I think he was solid. He made some strikes. I think he played well. Ezekiel Elliott, no one stopped this man yet. I don't care what y'all say. The man can run the ball. You can see the Giants in his eyes. He didn't even get a chance to see it yet. You can see the Giants glaze just hit your face.
They held him to 50-some yards, right?
I don't want to hear that. Yeah, I got the Cowboys. Ezekiel Elliott.
All right. New England lost last week. Matt, we know you're upset, but you're trying not to show it. You're trying to be a tough boy. Their favorite, exactly, trying not to show it. Like I said, their favorite 6.5-point favorite against New Orleans this week. I think they're going to bounce back from last week. Had a lot more time to prepare as well. What do you think?
I think they're going to win. I don't think they're going to cover. I think it's going to be a closer game than 6.5 points. New Orleans always plays them tough. Sean Payton is a Belichickian. So they always play New England tough. And if Hightower, they're keeping it pretty tight, close to the chest in terms of Hightower status. But if he doesn't play, I don't think New England plays any defense. If you look at the Chiefs, they give up 537 total yards. That's embarrassing. And in the second half, after Hightower went down, they got outscored 28-10. So that is bad news. So if Hightower's out, Patriots will still win, but it's going to be tight.
When's the last time the Patriots lost 2 games in a row? It's probably been a long time.
I don't remember.
Exactly. And another thing, too, is when you have a great organization like the Patriots, you correct mistakes that you had the week before. That's why they don't lose very often twice in a row. They're not going to have the same problems that they had last week against Kansas City. That's a fact. This secondary is going to be on point. They have a lot of talent back there, too. They're paying boy from the Bills.
Tyrod?
Not the corner.
Yeah.
From the Bills.
Gilmore.
Stephon Gilmore,
yeah.
paying him big money to play. He's got to step up, and that Patriot way's got to kick in soon. Malcolm Butler got to kick in and start playing well. I think it starts up front as well for the Patriots on defense. Got to get that defensive line going. But these are all things that I think Coach Belichick will not tolerate. He's going to get these guys going. I think they're going to perform on defense. Tom Brady's going to come back on offense. So I got the Patriots winning this one.
Jude, 6.5 favorite. Who do you have?
I mean, I'm a little shocked at you because you, as a Patriots fan, should know if anybody adjusts and prepares better than anybody else is going to be. Coach Belichick. Yeah, I don't know how that slipped my mind, but yeah, he preps his team better than anybody else. He games plan better than anybody else. Tom Brady. I mean, I don't really like him, but I respect the guy. He's not going to have two bad outings like that. They're going to bounce back and they're going to win this game.
It just has me nervous. The defense doesn't have a leader in the middle. Amendola just went down with a concussion. That means the wide receiver corps is now kind of depleted. I don't think that 6.5 playing at New Orleans is a fair line. I think it should be more like 4.5.
I think they're going to cover. I mean, I feel like you might be giving New Orleans a little bit too much credit on defense. Although they're better than what they were last year, they're still probably going to be a bottom 10 defense.
All right, moving on. Next 11 games. Ashley, our producer, joins us in here to make us pick and choose. So let's start it off. First one.
Texans at Bengals. Cincinnati favored by 5. Jude.
Texans.
Browns at Ravens. Baltimore 7.5 favorite. Brooke.
You guys know I'm going Browns every single week.
Bears at Bucks. Tampa Bay favored by 7.
Bears.
The Bears.
Vikings at Steelers.
Bucks.
Steelers favored by 6.5. Julian.
Got the Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger to AB, 11 for 11, all targets, all completions.
He's dead serious. He's like, why are you guys laughing?
Jude. Cardinals at Colts.
Cardinals. Colts look terrible. Cardinals going to do it.
Brooke. Bills at Panthers.
Panthers.
Matt.
Easy.
Jets at Raiders.
If I may be like my boy Chris Berman, the Raiders. The Raiders.
All right.
Julian. Dolphins at Chargers.
Gonna go with the Dolphins. Jay Cutler comes back striking.
Jude. 49ers at Seahawks.
Seahawks, not even a contest.
Brooke. Redskins at Rams.
Going Redskins on that one.
And Matt. Lions at Giants.
Lions.
All right, thank you, Ashley. All right, now it's time for Fantasy with segment The Scoop.
Help me, Rod. Help me help you. Help me help you.
Help me help you.
Help me help you, Rod. All right,
studs and duds for the week. You guys are going to take this over since my fantasy thing just whatever.
Your fantasy
All right,
thing just whatever.
Quarterback, stud, dud, Jude.
Stud, I got Russell Wilson coming off a bad week last week. They're playing the 49ers this week. I already gave my opinion on them last week. I don't think they're going to be a good team this year. He should bounce back. Have a great game, get everybody more involved, and they're going to get Thomas Rawls back, so that should improve the running game for him, and they like to run the play action, so that's going to help him. For dud, I got Eli Manning. I don't know why you were looking at me when you said Lions. I have the Lions winning this week as well. I mean, if you get Odell back, is he going to be 100%? I don't think so. So you add that on top of the fact that they proved last week that they can't block anybody. So
You know what Eli's arm looked like during the game?
what's that?
Linguini.
It's just
Linguini arm.
Listen, man, I'm
one of the weakest arms in the NFL.
I'm in a group chat with a bunch of.
If I'm Odell Beckham,
like
Giants got to pay me everything.
I'm in a group chat with a bunch of Pats fans, man. It's getting harder and harder each week to kind of defend Eli. But
Oh my goodness!
All right,
Eli's a dud for me this week.
Matt, who's your stud? Who's your dud quarterback position?
I wanted to pick Russell Wilson, but the whole Seattle team burned me last week.
Yeah.
They cost me money on DraftKings. So I'm going Derek Carr. ESPN has him as the number 5, but he's facing the Jets, who are like literally looking at themselves in the mirror like, should I play today? We're so bad. And then, so I think he has a big day. He's more top 2, maybe best quarterback of the week this week. Dud, Kirk Cousins. That Redskins offense hasn't been in sync the whole preseason. Now week 1, I think they're in a little bit of trouble, but he's not a top 10 fantasy quarterback in my opinion, so shouldn't draft him there. Studs for running back, Ty Montgomery. Ty Montgomery. I think he's gonna have a good game. Who are they playing again this week? Atlanta, not strong in the linebacking position, especially in the middle. So if they can get him into the passing game, big numbers for him. Dud, Kareem Hunt.
Ooh.
Welcome back to earth. I don't think you can expect him to have a 40-point week, even a 20-point week.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
I don't.
40-point. Absolutely.
Definitely, but I don't think you can have a 20-point week. I think they're going to game plan for him and at least contain him.
All right.
Stud dad running back.
Stud running back. I got Leonard Fournette. I liked what I saw out of him last week. He's going to run into a lot of people. He was hitting that truck. He was hitting that truck stick a lot. And then they're playing up against the Titans. Marshawn Lynch was kind of beast mode in that game. So I feel like Leonard Fournette, he can kind of replicate that and just have his way with them. For the dud, probably a hot commodity right now with David Johnson going down. A lot of people picking up Kern Williams, and they're ready to anoint him as the next great running back out of Arizona. Listen, the guy's been there for like 4 years. Never seen anything out of him before. He's had the chance to get the job, wasn't able to do it. And on top of that, they just signed Chris Johnson. Not really a show of faith if you go out and sign that running back, Chris Johnson. A couple years ago, Chris Johnson won that job. So I feel like eventually he's going to be able to take that job again, be the starting back while David Johnson is out.
Let's just go into your receivers now.
Receivers, I like Brandon Cooks. Again, I don't think the Pats are going to have 2 bad weeks. Tom Brady's going to bounce back. That means Cooks' numbers are going to go up as well.
I hope you're right.
Again, the Saints are not a great defense. So, and then on top of that, they traded Cooks to the Patriots. He's coming back home. I feel like it has all the makings of like a big game for him. For my dud receiver, I got DeAndre Hopkins. You got a rookie running back. They're not going to throw the whole playbook at him and tell him just go out there and fling it. I feel like what they're going to do, run the ball a lot, give him some short throws, let him build his confidence up. And as a result, DeAndre Hopkins is going to suffer. Now, I could be wrong because I respect DeAndre a lot. He's played with terrible quarterbacks before and put up some unbelievable numbers.
Targets last week. 16.
And what did he do with them?
If he catches 8 of those.
Did he catch 8 of them last week?
He had 7 receptions.
For how many yards?
Like it wasn't
not
a
a
whole
ton,
lot.
exactly.
Not a lot.
It wasn't
All
a great game,
Stud for me, Mike Evans.
Yeah.
Dude, I think he's gonna have better numbers at the end of the day than Julio Jones. He's stud this year. That may be Hard Knocks hype, but I like him.
Yeah.
Dud, Michael Thomas for the Saints. They have him as the number 6 receiver. He's going to be locked down by Gilmore or Butler.
Yeah.
All game.
Pick your poison.
Yep.
All right, defense.
Tight
end. Yes.
Tight end. So with Thomas locked up and with Hightower likely out, Kobe Fleener.
Ooh, this is interesting.
Kobe Fleener is going to have a good game up the middle for the Saints. He's had a touchdown last week, couple touchdowns last week. So he's getting that rapport with Breeze. I think he could have a good week. Dud, Kyle Rudolph. Number 6 tight end. I wouldn't count on him to have a back-to-back week. He's just not consistent.
So I said it was going to be interesting because you didn't like Zach Ertz, and I like Zach Ertz this week.
I said I like Zach Ertz.
You said you like Zach Ertz?
Because Barry's not in there.
Okay, all right. So I misheard you. But Kobe Fleener, you like him, and I don't like him.
Ooh.
Yeah. So Zach Ertz.
What's wrong with Kobe Fleener?
So hold on. So Zach Ertz, right? They're playing against.
He'll get to you.
They're playing against the Chiefs this week. Obviously, Eric Berry, he shut down Gronk last week. But there's no Eric Berry this week, unfortunately. Right. So Zach Ertz already had that rapport with Carson Wentz going. He's kind of like his go-to target, I feel like. So I feel like he's going to have a great game, especially, again, with no Eric Berry to cover him. Kobe Fleener, he did okay last week, and he's playing against the Patriots this week, right? So last week against the Patriots, what did they do to Travis Kelce? Practically shut him down, didn't really have any yards. He had a bunch of little flick-em plays, the little screen behind the line of scrimmage.
Never gets off the
He
line.
never got started, and not to mention they don't like tossing the ball downfield a lot anyways. So Kobe Fleener, I just don't see him having a good game against the Pats this week.
He's a route runner.
He
goes out he can split out and play the receiver position. He can go out and play tight end. I don't understand how they're supposed to shut him down because his game is entirely different from Travis Kelce. He's
Travis Kelce is a route runner. They spread him out at wide end, at wide receiver, and they absolutely shut him down last week.
He comes off the tight end off the tight end at the Y, and he'll give you some. He gets open, but I'm saying Kobe Fleener is a route runner.
Wesley
guys.
Fleener has not been great
Real
for
quick,
them. So
defense, studs,
boys.
duds. Jude, real quick.
Studs, Arizona. I think that's more matchup for me. They're going up against the Colts. They don't. We don't know if Andrew Luck is going to be playing this week yet. I don't think he is. And even if he does, he's not 100%. If they're waiting this long to say whether he's going to play or not.
Yep.
We saw them last week. They don't look good. Jacoby Brissett, he'll be different. He might be better than Scott Tolzien was, but still. For my dud defense, this has got to be a mistake. I got the Raiders up here. The Raiders are going up against the Jets. That's probably my second favorite. That's a mistake.
All right. Well, while you got stud for me, I got Tampa Bay. I think I might have had like a mini stroke when I was doing the picks. I definitely should have picked Tampa Bay because I'm high on Evans and I'm high on Tampa Bay D. So, but
I picked Tampa. I picked Tampa. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Tampa is gonna defense gonna have a big week. Dud for me, Bengals. They have them as a top 5 defense. Like, I don't see it.
All right, waiver pickups. You mentioned David Johnson a little bit. Who do you guys pick up to replace him?
I think another injury is Woodhead. He's going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks with that hamstring injury. Javorius Allen on Baltimore. He has shown some potential. 2015 had 519 yards. And he had 21 carries for 71 last week. He's also a threat out of the backfield, so I think he's a good pickup if you're looking for something at running back. Wide receiver, Allen Hurns. I know Marquise Lee's in the conversation, but Hurns already has an established rapport with Bortles, so that's who I'm going with.
Kind of to address your question, I kind of alluded to it before. Kern Williams, you can pick him up, obviously, but I like Chris Johnson as a stash and store. Within a couple of weeks, I feel like he's going to be the main guy out of that backfield. And just in general, a lot of people didn't before, probably trending now more so. Tariq Cohen from the Bears had a great game last week. Looks like it's more of a timeshare as opposed to Josh Howard just being the main guy for the Bears. So I like Tariq Cohen. Also, I like Nelson Aguilar. Gave him a high draft pick, I want to say a season or two ago. They were expecting him to be their number 1 guy. Hasn't really worked out, but he came out last week. Shows that he's been putting in the work this year, and he should be better.
Julian, real quick, anybody? Running backs?
Anyone you're picking up this week?
Running backs? No one in particular. Can I give a special shout out to Jacoby Brissett? Probably going to get his first start for the Colts.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned that. One of my former high school quarterbacks. If you don't have him, he is my special pickup. I'm sure he wasn't drafted, so I think he'll have a good game.
All right, speaking of picking up people, let's get to our DraftKings lineups for the week. Matt, you want to start it off?
Sure. Quarterback, Jared Goff. Only $5,000 threw for 300 yards last week.
Why do you feel the need to announce everybody's name with some special emphasis?
Next up, at running back, Melvin Gordon. And then I got Christian McCaffrey, Doug Baldwin. Please get me back, Dougie Baldwin. Mike Evans, Cooper Kupp, Jared Cook, Tyreek Hill, and Seahawks D is what I'm rolling out with.
I'm rolling with Sam Bradford. Todd Gurley held me down last week. Gonna roll the dice on him 2 weeks in a row. Lamar Miller, again, I don't feel like they're gonna throw the ball a ton in Houston. Let Deshaun Watson kind of ease into it. Run the ball a lot with Miller. Nelson Aguilar, Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill, Delaney Walker, Mike Evans. We're on the same ship as that one. He's going to be a beast this year. And then I got the Lions defense against the Giants. I'm sorry, I love him, but I just
Dude,
they showed me absolutely nothing to give me any
you guys
sort
see
of
how
faith.
hard he's taking this Cowboys loss last week?
They showed me nothing. All the questions I had, they answered, just not in the way I hoped that they would answer it. Couldn't run the ball, couldn't block anybody.
Yeah.
Whenever Jude looks up to his right, you could see the glimmer of
We need to have a graphic of him just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's just hilarious to me. That's his team. That's
All right,
love.
my lineup. I got Deshaun Kaiser at quarterback. Sorry, Julian. I know you give me a
How
look
much
every
was
single
he?
time.
He wasn't bad.
Yeah, he
5,100.
That's
So
probably
he
bargain
put up
bin.
19
A great
points
value
last week,
pick.
and I picked him up last week, and Tom Brady gave me 10. All
Great
right,
value
yeah,
pick.
exactly. So
Yeah.
I'm going to Deshaun Kaiser, Le'Veon Bell, Todd Gurley as well. He gave me a good week last week. Des Bryant didn't do too much last week, but we'll see what he does this week. Corey Coleman also put up some big numbers for the Browns. Him and Deshaun kind of connected a little bit. Sammy Watkins, Kyle Rudolph, Eddie Lacy, and I have the Broncos D going up against the Cowboys. So we'll see how that works out. Gambling lines, let's bet the house. Who are you betting the house on?
Who am I betting the house on this week? I gotta tell you, I'm betting the house that I don't even know. I actually don't know.
All right, do you know who you're betting the house on?
Betting the house, listen, man, New England covering the spread 6.5 points.
Yeah.
That means they got to win by 7, 1 touchdown. I mean, I absolutely see it happening. Again, Brandon Cooks is going to get the ball a ton. Homecoming in New Orleans. Bill Belichick, he's going to game plan a lot. They're not going to have 2 bad games in a row. They came out in the second half flat, but in that first half, they did show glimpses of what they could potentially be. I think we see more first half, except across the whole game.
I agree with you on that one. Like Julian said earlier, when's the last time the Patriots lost 2 in a row?
Yeah.
So I'm going also New England. Did you find who you're doing yet?
I am. I have it. I am betting the house on the Broncos this week.
All right.
Dallas
Julian?
is the favorite.
Dolphins over the Chargers. And
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
they're
off.
discounted. A lot of people, for whatever reason, seem to hate on Jay Cutler. I think he's still got it. I'm excited to see what Devontae Parker can do. I think this is his year to finally break out from the shadows of Jarvis Landry. So very excited to see what they do.
And they had that extra week of rest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They'll be ready to go.
All right, real quick, any questionable lines that you guys saw this week?
I promise I'm not trying to make this a recurring theme with me, but Giants as 4-point as 4-point favorites.
Put it in there.
As 4-point favorites.
Jude's going
Over
home,
the
taking a cold
Lions.
shower, just crying.
Listen. Listen, 4-point favorites over the Lions. Now, the Giants are coming off a loss where they looked terrible on all phases of the – well, not all phases. Defense still looked okay. And the Lions, they just had a great game, comeback win. Matthew Stafford very much looked the part of being the highest played pair. 4-point favorites against the Lions, I don't think it's happening.
Anyone for you?
Yeah, Bears Bucks. 7 point, a whole touchdown. You know, Bucks haven't played. Bears played well against a good team last week. You know, I think that's a little disrespect.
All right, I didn't really look at the lines this week, so I'm not even going to say mine.
Thank you for your
But
honesty.
yes, all right, that ends our second episode of this week on the Gridiron. Make sure you join us for next week. We're not sure if we're going to have Julian or one of our professors, Brett Axe, who also covers Syracuse football, and he is the host of on ESPN Syracuse. So tune in next week. Make sure you get your lineups done for DraftKings and any fantasies you have going into the week. I'm Brooke Meanahan, Jude Loom, Matt St. Jean. Thank you again, Julian, for joining us.
Follow us. Twitter, Instagram, social media, everything. Follow us.
Let's see.